everybody, welcome back to my channel, Lay on Keys. If you're new to my channel, welcome and feel free to subscribe. So first of all, sorry for the late video. It's been a busy week. Just gonna put it out there. Some weeks I might not put any videos because of my busy schedule, but I'll try to put some as often as I can. So in this video, now I'm gonna teach a beginner kind of introduction to the blues. The blues does get a little bit complicated, but this video I'll just show like a simple riff that any beginner can do. You know, if you want to just jam out to a blues groove or just want some new knowledge. Okay, so I won't go into the too much of a history of it, but it's basically old school style scene in the Americas. Yeah, that's been around kind of like when rock first came out, and this was like the original rhythm and blues kind of sound. Some popular artists, if you think of blues, you think of if you know about Eric Clapton, he does play the blues. He's a common blues artist. Of course there's others out there, but they don't come to mind right now. But anyway, so with the blues, very simple. Doesn't matter what kind of blues song you play, at least talking about the earlier form of blues, they all follow the same chord progression for the entire song. They all follow this chord progression, which is a 1, 4, 1, 5, 4 to 1, and then sometimes back to 5. But it's pretty simple. It's really just those 3 chords, and it's always usually in that order. And when you hear it, you'll see how it might sound familiar. You probably heard it in old school movies and stuff like that, but it was a pretty common theme when playing the blues. I'm just gonna show not really a particular song, but a simple riff that you can do that can go with any song really, or anybody who's like trying to sing. Say you want to like accompany someone who's singing a bluesy song, then you use these riffs. So another thing about the blues is that there's like a particular rhythm to it, referred to as shuffle. And the reason why it's called a shuffle because it has this kind of like back and forth kind of rhythm to it. So I'll demonstrate. So the first thing I'll demonstrate is the left side of the keys, the left hand, a basic riff you can play in the left hand. So we're gonna use the key of C major. Another thing too with the blues, it kind of alternates between C major and C minor. So you might see some black keys in it, but I'll just demonstrate. So here's how you would play a basic riff on the left hand. And I'll just demonstrate one for this video, but I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but this one's pretty effective. So here's how it goes. You would take the 1 and the 5, like so, and then you alternate between that and the 1 and the 6. So here's how that sounds. Okay, so you can do that. If you also gonna change it a bit, you can also go up to this note, which would be B flat. But anyway, all you have to know for now is that it's gonna be 1/2 step below the 8th note. Okay, or you can call it the sharp 6 for now. But just know it's this note if you're using the C major key. So instead of just doing, you would do the same thing, but add this on the 4th bar, if that makes sense. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so something like that. All right. But yeah, that's basically it for the left hand. It's just a simple shuffling rhythm. So okay. Now for the right hand, here's one riff you can do, and this one kind of has a shuffle kind of pattern as well. So here's how that goes. Pretty much you would have C, you play it using your pinky, and your thumb would be on basically F sharp, and this is another thing I'll teach later on, but this is known as a tritone. But anyway, it would be these two notes, and you shuffle to these two notes. So basically going down from F sharp to G. Okay, so something like this. So you can keep doing that. And if you want to be a little bit fancy, so you can also add a few more notes to this. So this is how it will look like. So all I did there was F, B sharp, C. So if you're thinking about the notes in the C minor scale, it's just these notes. The fourth, the third, and the one note. Okay? So you can just do this. Or you can add this on the fourth bar. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, just how I played it basically. Alright? So this is how it would sound like when you put these two together. So let's say we're doing the most basic one. Okay? Or you could even do the one where you go up to this. Yeah, so whatever you're comfortable with. Now, you basically do the same pattern following the chord progression. So, remember when I mentioned the next thing would be 4? So you do the same thing. So on the left hand, you would go down to F and then C. So a dyad between the first and the fifth notes of the F major chord. So C, for example, would be the fifth for F, and then D would be the sixth. So you do that same shuffling thing, but you would keep the right hand position, right in the same hand in the same position as it was for when you were playing the one of the chord progression. So something like this. Okay, so you play the fourth for 2 bars, and then you go right back to the one for another 2 bars. All right, and then after you go back to the one, you go to the fifth, and same thing. The left hand, you would play the G major power chord basically. So the 1 being G, the 5 being D, and then the 6 would be E. But on the right hand, you keep the same position. So you do. So you do that twice, and then you go back to the 4. And then you go back to the 1. Alright, so if I were to play that straight, I'll just keep it really simple. This is what that would sound like. Alright, so that's one way to play it. Another riff you can do on the right hand, instead of just doing this shuffling thing, is this riff right here. So this is what it sounds like. Okay, so you're playing the 1, 4, then 1, 3, 1. So, okay. All right, so basically, you start playing that before you would play the left hand. This is how this sounds like. So, okay, so you do this for each chord in the chord progression. But now, instead of just keeping the same position, you would change the chord in the right hand as well. So, this is how it would go. Okay, and just to go over 4 and the 5 part of the progression on the right hand, for the F major chord, it would just be F being the 1, B flat being the 4, go back to the 1, which is F, and then G sharp being the 3rd. So that's it for F. And for the G, so it's G being the 1, C being the 4, back to the 1, which is G, and back to up to the B flat, which is 3, and down to G, which is 1. And notice too, even though it might be confusing, a lot of this on the right hand is just minors, the minor chords of all these chords. So you see how it kind of jumps between these two, minor and major. So I know it's kind of confusing, but if you just remember this, it won't be as confusing. Okay, but yeah, so those are 2 basic riffs. Now we can go one step even further. Now, I guess I'll just go back to the shuffling pattern before. Say you're going back to the 1. Here's something you do to kind of spice it up. So I'll just play from the beginning. So basically, that's when you're coming from the 4th, right, part of the chord progression, right? So you can do something like, or, so you see how I'm kind of just walking up the notes of the C major chord. So you have C, so C, play 3, then the 4, then the F sharp, then G, okay? And then on the right hand, you could just do, you keep doing this shuffling thing, or so like, so you can do something like this. So when you reach the 5th on the left hand, you would play the same thing here. So moving the C to D. And if you want to be a little extra, you can add, we can move this up to D sharp. And just try like, and just kind of like, look at your keys like this. All right, so I'll play that again. I know that sounds confusing, but let me play it again. So. All right, so those are 2 different ways, well, 2 different simple riffs For beginners, it definitely does get a little trickier than this, more complicated. And you know, as I start to teach like how to do fancy improvisation tricks and stuff like that, then those tricks will definitely come into play when playing the blues. But these are two effective riffs you can do in the meantime to just kind of get the blues groove down. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to do an interactive activity where I'll just play the chords and then have you guys just practice those riffs and also play a drum beat so you guys can play along with that. Okay, so without further ado, here's the activity. All right, so that's it for the activity. So I hope you guys were able to play along to that. And even if you didn't, you don't feel like you perfected it, it's fine. As long as you can, you're able to just get into the groove of things and be familiar with that blues sound. That's all that matters. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment box below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.